San Francisco, California, August 1, 1969. Three major newspapers receive identical letters, all arriving on the same morning. Inside each envelope, a coded message. 408 symbols, numbers, letters, and strange shapes that no one can read. And a warning: I am the Zodiac. If you do not print this cipher on your front page by Friday afternoon, I will go on a kill rampage this weekend, and I will cruise around and pick off all stray people or cars. The newspapers printed the cipher. The police were baffled. America was terrified. And the Zodiac Killer, whoever he was just getting started. He would go on to claim at least 5 confirmed murders, possibly as many as 37. He sent 21 taunting letters to police and newspapers, filled with clues, codes, and threats. He was never caught. More than 50 years later, his identity remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American criminal history. To understand the Zodiac, we need to go back to December 20, 1968, 6 months before the letters. Lake Herman Road, Berryessa, California, a quiet, isolated stretch of road where young couples sometimes parked at night. David Faraday, 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, 16, were on their first date. They pulled over to talk. They never drove home. A passing driver found them the next morning. David shot in the head. Betty Lou shot 5 times in the back. She had tried to run. Police had no suspects, no motive, no leads. 6 months later, July 4, 1969, a man and woman were shot at Blue Rock Springs Park, just 4 miles away. The woman, Darlene Ferrin, died. Her companion, Michael Mageau, survived, barely. While Michael was still in the hospital, the killer did something no murderer had ever done before. He called the police himself. In a calm, flat voice, he told the dispatcher, "I want to report a murder. If you go 1 mile east on Columbus Parkway, you will find kids in a brown car. They were shot with a 9mm Luger. I also killed those kids last year." Then he hung up. The police traced the call to a payphone 1 block from the Vallejo Police Department. He had called from right outside their building and walked away completely free. After the July 4th attack, the Zodiac sent his now famous letters to 3 newspapers: the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Examiner, and the Vallejo Times-Herald. Each letter contained a third of a 408-symbol cipher. He claimed the cipher contained his identity. Police released the cipher to the public, hoping someone could crack it. Within a week, a high school teacher named Donald Hardin and his wife cracked it, revealing a chilling message: "I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all." But the cipher ended with 18 uncracked symbols, which the Zodiac said contained his name. Those 18 symbols remained unsolved for 51 years. Then, on December 5, 2020, a team of amateur code breakers from the United States, Australia, and Belgium finally cracked the second Zodiac cipher, known as the Z340. It read, "I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise." Brilliant, but still no name, still no identity. The Zodiac had been careful. To this day, his real name remains hidden somewhere in those symbols. September 27, 1969. Lake Berryessa, Napa County, California. Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard, college students, were picnicking by the lake on a warm afternoon. A figure approached them from the trees. He was wearing a black hood over his entire head, with a white crosshair symbol stitched on the chest. He carried a gun and a long knife. In a calm, almost bored voice, he told them he was an escaped convict who needed their car and money. He tied them both up with a pre-cut length of plastic clothesline he had brought with him. Then he put the gun away and picked up the knife. He stabbed Brian 6 times. He stabbed Cecilia 10 times. Then he walked to their car and used a black felt pen to write on the door, Vallejo 12-20-68, 7-4-69, Sept 27-69, 6:30, by knife. He listed his previous attack dates like a scoreboard. Then he called the police himself, again from a payphone, reporting his own attack. Cecilia Shepard died 2 days later. Brian Hartnell survived and became the only person to interact with the Zodiac face to face and live to describe him. He said the Zodiac's voice was calm, polite even, as if what he was doing was completely normal. October 11th, 1969, San Francisco. Paul Stein, 29, was a cab driver working the night shift. He picked up a fare in downtown San Francisco. The passenger directed him to a quiet residential neighborhood, then shot him once in the head at point-blank range. 2 teenagers in a nearby house saw the killer leaning into the cab, wiping down surfaces. They called police immediately. Officers drove right past the killer, a stocky white male in glasses, because the police dispatcher had incorrectly described him as a black male. The real Zodiac walked away through the Presidio Park, vanishing into the darkness. Days later, a new letter arrived at the San Francisco Chronicle. Inside, a piece of Paul Stein's blood-stained shirt. The Zodiac was keeping trophies and sending them to prove it. I am the murderer of the taxi driver over by Washington Street. To prove this, here is a blood-stained piece of his shirt. He also made a chilling threat in that letter that he would attack a school bus and pick off the kiddies as they come bouncing out. San Francisco schools went on high alert. Police escorted buses. The city was in a full panic. The attack never came, but the fear was exactly what the Zodiac wanted. Over 50 years, investigators have identified over 2,500 suspects. Here are the 5 most seriously considered. Suspect 1, Arthur Lee Allen, the most famous suspect, a convicted child molester from Vallejo who owned Zodiac brand watches, loved the movie The Most Dangerous Game, referenced in the Cipher, and was identified by survivor Michael Mageau as resembling his attacker. His home was searched multiple times. No DNA match was ever found. He died in 1992, never charged. Suspect 2, Lawrence Kane, a man with brain damage from a 1962 car accident that investigators say may have removed his inhibitions. He lived near every murder scene, and his name contains letters that match unsolved Zodiac ciphers. He died in 2010. Suspect 3, Ross Sullivan, a former library worker who disappeared from his job shortly after the Zodiac killings began. He had a history of psychiatric issues, owned military-style clothing matching descriptions, and his handwriting showed similarities to the Zodiac's letters. Suspect 4, Gary Francis Post. In 2021, a cold case team called the Case Breakers publicly named Post, a former Air Force serviceman and house painter who died in 2018, as the Zodiac. They claimed his forehead scars matched those described by a witness, and that his full name is hidden in one of the unsolved ciphers. The FBI has not confirmed this identification. Suspect 5, the unidentified man.
In 2002, DNA was extracted from the saliva on a Zodiac envelope. The profile doesn't match any known suspect in any database. Whoever the Zodiac was, he was never arrested for anything else either.
After October 1969, the confirmed Zodiac murders stopped, but the letters continued on and off until 1974. In one 1971 letter, he claimed his victim count had risen to 17. In 1974, he referenced the film The Exorcist, calling it the best satirical comedy I have ever seen. Then, silence, complete silence. No more letters, no more attacks that could be confirmed. Did he stop killing? Did he move to another state? Did he die? Was he imprisoned for another crime? No one knows. The San Francisco Police Department officially kept the case open. The California Department of Justice lists it as an active investigation to this day. In 50-plus years of investigation, with modern DNA technology, facial reconstruction, cipher analysis, and thousands of investigators, the Zodiac has never been identified. I shall not tell you what my name is, for you will try to slow down or stop my collecting of slaves for my afterlife. He wrote those words in 1969, and he kept that promise.
The Zodiac Killer terrorized an entire generation of Americans. He didn't just kill people, he turned ordinary life into a source of fear. A parked car at night, a taxi ride, a picnic by a lake, things that should be safe, things that should be innocent. He made Americans look over their shoulders, and then he vanished, leaving behind nothing but ciphers, blood-stained letters, and unanswered questions. His confirmed victims were 5 people, real people with real lives. David Faraday, 17, Betty Lou Jensen, 16, Darlene Ferrin, 22, Cecilia Shepard, 22, Paul Stein, 29. They were not statistics. They were someone's children, someone's lovers, someone's friends, and they deserved to have their killer named. If the Zodiac is still alive today, he would be in his 80s or 90s, possibly sitting in a nursing home somewhere in California, possibly watching true crime documentaries about himself on television, possibly smiling. By the way, are you crackpots going to have me on the front page? You won't. I enjoy needling the blue pigs. He wrote that to mock the police in 1969. He was right. His face was never on the front page, not the real one. The Zodiac Killer remains free. The case remains open. And somewhere out there, the truth is still waiting to be found. If this story kept you on the edge of your seat, like this video and subscribe, because the darkest chapters of American history are exactly what we cover every week. See you next time.